Congress is debating tax rates, and that has Wall Street nervously eyeing the calendar. Okay, do this as a news guy. Worried that lawmakers will allow taxes to rise for the wealthiest Americans beginning next year, financial firms are discussing whether to move up their bonus payouts from next year to this month. At stake is a portion of the hefty annual payouts that are a familiar part of the compensation culture on Wall Street, as well as a juicy target of popular anger. If Congress does not extend the Bush-era tax cuts for the highest income levels, a typical worker, I'm not going to make it, a typical worker who earns $1 million bonus, $1 million bonus, a typical worker who earns $1 million bonus, moment, sidebar to the editor of the New York Times, please. Do us a favor out here in flyover country. Do us a favor who understand what it is to make a choice between 89-cent a can beans and 69-cent a can beans, and we buy the 69-cent a can beans because of the extra 20 cents for the name brand. Do us a favor out here. Don't ever, 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 ever allow to occur in another news story coming from your newspaper the words, a typical worker who earns $1 million bonus. There is no way under the sun that that person can be ever described as being even remotely resembling something called typical. A typical worker who earns $1 million bonus. Who are they trying to kid? Am I supposed to think that the guy who empties the waste paper cans at the end of the day, that he's just, the day before Christmas, oh, here's my $1 million bonus because I work? No! Typical person. Whew! I'm just going to say something here because I've never had $1 million. I will likely never have $1 million. I'll never likely have $500,000. But if you live in a country that allows you to earn not $1 million a year, but just because it's the end of the year, you get $1 million for not having done anything particularly spectacular. But if you live in a country where that happens for you, for doing nothing, but if I, and maybe this is because I'm old-fashioned or simplistic or sentimental, but $1 million is still a lot of money, even now. And if I lived in a country that allowed me to do almost nothing and paid me millions of dollars to do it, and I got a bonus of $1 million, and in the same breath I was referred to in the New York Times as a typical worker, you know what? If my taxes went up by $40,000 to $50,000, I would hand carry my tax check to Washington, D.C. and ask them if maybe they couldn't use another 50. The rich in this country have no appreciation whatsoever for where the hell they live.